Washington correspondent Jay O'Brien tells us when that could possibly happen.
This was Powell's strongest signal yet that the Fed is preparing to start cutting interest rates as soon as next month. The chairman adding they're going to keep an eye on upcoming inflations and jobs numbers before making that final call. But the central bank last cut interest rates months ago in December, and it's held them steady since then to fight inflation, despite a relentless pressure campaign from President Trump for a rate cut. Powell seeming to acknowledge Trump and the others who have been pushing him, saying that any decision will be based solely on Fed officials and their assessment of economic data.
A heat advisory is in effect from Southern California all the way up to Washington state and parts of Idaho. That's causing concern over the potential for wildfires in Southern California. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
We see you out there, making the most of every moment, one big, bright idea at a time. At Blaine's, we're glad to be part of it by offering best-in-class products and solutions at unbeatable farm and fleet prices. Like men's and women's area jeans, 25% off, $5 off men's Dickies jeans starting at $24.99, and 20-inch Beyond Breeze box fans, $18.99 while supplies last. Rewards members save an extra $3. Find value on the things you value. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Be an original.
I'm WTMJ's Sandy Max. What makes senior living at Three Pillars so special? Let's hear from my friend Marilyn.
I've been volunteering for over 30 years, so I got to know the community and loved it. We have a theater, community room, and we have bocce outside. They have gardens all over the campus that the residents tend to. Quilting groups, sewing groups, knitting groups, just lots and lots of amenities. Never a boring day.
Schedule a tour today at threepillars.org.
Why settle for just a job when you can have a career in the exciting automobile industry? I'm Deb Cruz, president of ADAM, the Auto Dealers Association of Mega Milwaukee. The 114-member new car dealers that make up ADAM have extremely desirable service technician, sales, administrative, and management positions available now, and new ones opening up every day. Whether you're just getting out of school or considering a career change, the salary and benefits are fantastic, and the potential for advancement is unlimited. The first word in career is car, and one of the best places to find a great career opportunity is at an ADAM member new car dealer. Live the life you've always imagined. What you do today can improve all your tomorrows.
Go to work happy when you go to work in the auto industry. For current great-paying job opportunities, visit adam.com/jobs. That's ADAMM.com/jobs.
This is Brewers Warm-Up with Dominic Cotroneo. Your lineups, manager insights, and a preview of tonight's game right now. This is Brewers Warm-Up. Here's your host, Dominic Cotroneo.
What a beautiful day for baseball here in Milwaukee. The Giants and the Brewers getting ready for Game 2 of this weekend 3-game series. Yesterday, the story was Willy Adames' return and William Contreras' walk-off. Today, the story is the Axeman. John Axford is back in Milwaukee, being added to the Wall of Honor here at American Family Field. We caught up with him. You'll hear plenty from him on this program coming up in just a moment. And then tomorrow, of course, it is the Bob Uecker Celebration of Life. So much planning has gone on to this event tomorrow. And to remind folks who are planning to be here tomorrow for the celebration, you want to make sure you see all of it. A reminder, the gates will open early. Gates will open at 10:30, even though the game is scheduled for 1 o'clock. 10:30 gates, 10 o'clock parking lot, so you've got time to hang out, do your thing, and then come in. They want you in your seats by 12:15 tomorrow for the program to begin. So make sure there's plenty of time for folks to get into their seats. 12:15. It's going to start shortly after that. So that's tomorrow. Let's talk a little bit about today. The Brewers have a little bit of a different look lineup after yesterday's highlight, of course, William Contreras, the walk-off home run, the first of his career. NL leading 9th walk-off for the Brewers this year, and the MLB leading 4th walk-off homer for the Brewers this year. It was Christian Yelich, then it was Caleb Durbin, then it was Isaac Collins, and now it is William Contreras. They have had a flair for the dramatic this season. Today, they'll hand the ball to their leader, Freddie Peralta, who is leading baseball in wins. And I know some people don't use that as a stat that matters that much. He has been fantastic this year. Fastball Freddie goes up against Logan Webb, the Sacramento kid. He has been phenomenal once again. Ground ball specialist that also has the ability to get strikeouts. Freddie is 15-5, a 2.78 ERA. Webb is 11-9 with a 3.19 ERA. While we're at it, let's go ahead and get to the starting lineups. A little bit of a different look today for the Brewers due to a couple of nagging injuries. First of all, Sal Frelick will lead things off again. Sal is in right field. Batting second is Isaac Collins. Switch hitter plays left. William Contreras, the third hitter in the order, and catching once again today for Freddie Peralta. Batting cleanup, Christian Yelich. He is the DH again. Jake Bauers, welcome back to the starting lineup. He was activated off the injured list yesterday. The last time Jake Bauers was in the starting lineup for the Brewers, they were still in second place just over a month ago on July 18th. He's at first base, giving Andrew Vaughn a day off. Caleb Durbin will play second base today. Make note of that. More on Bryce in a moment. Durbin hitting sixth. Anthony Siegler thus gets the start at third base. He's batting seventh. Blake Perkins back into the order today, playing center field and hitting eighth. And Andrew Monasterio rounds out the order, the shortstop for the Crew, batting ninth. Bryce Terang considered day-to-day. He was a little tender from the hit by pitch on his right wrist yesterday. The Brewers decided to keep him out of the starting lineup today, make sure that he can get recovery, make sure everything's all right, as he had been on fire, obviously, and they want to hold your breath about that wrist and making sure nothing goes wrong with Bryce's wrist. And for Andrew Vaughn, man, he has been playing and playing and playing, given both first basemen were on the injured list for the Brewers at the same time, both Rhys Hoskins and Jake Bauers, who in fact it was Rhys first, then Jake right after that, and when the call-up happened. For Andrew Vaughn, he has played every game as of late for the Brewers. The last day that he had off for the Brewers was game number 125. That was the or I shouldn't say game 125. He played both games of that doubleheader. You have to go all the way back for his last true off day to be July 24th when or July 23rd, I should say, when the Brewers finale in Seattle. So he had been playing a ton consecutive, 27 games in a row, while still hitting .320 over that time. So he finally gets a breather today. For the Giants, on the other side, here's their lineup against Fastball Freddie. Young-Hoo Lee leads things off. He is in center field. Rafi Devers, the DH today, getting a day off from his glove. He's batting second. Old friend Willie Adames hit his 10th career multi-homer game yesterday. Adames is the shortstop and hitting third. Dominic Smith is at first base. He is the cleanup hitter, had the pinch hit single to keep the Giants alive in the top of the ninth inning yesterday. Casey Schmidt plays second base because, batting sixth, it's Matt Chapman. He is back from the injured list. He's had a lingering hand issue on and off this season. It was the second time he had to go on the injured list because of his hand. Chapman plays third base. Luis Matos will play left field today. He's batting seventh. Patrick Bailey behind the plate. He'll hit eighth. And Drew Gilbert is the right fielder into the order. Gilbert bats ninth. Again for the Giants, Lee, Devers, Adames, the top third. The middle has Smith, Schmidt, and Chapman. And the bottom is Matos, Bailey, and Gilbert. So the on-deck show will come up at just about the bottom of the hour here on 620 WTMJ. But up next, we're going to start to go down memory lane with John Axford as he was added to the Wall of Honor today. Hear a little bit from John. And, you know, we also have a fun social video up on my social pages at Dom_Cotroneo, Cotroneo. just about, of course, we could talk about baseball all day long with John Axford, but he also wants to talk about film all day long. So a fun bit up there of his 4 favorite films, channeling Letterboxd, if you're familiar with the social media site, Letterboxd on his 4 favorite films, and he had a good time with it. So you can check that out on our socials wherever you may be. Up next, we hear from the Axeman on 620 WTMJ.
Hey, John Mercure here for Certa Pro Painters. They painted our house, the outside of the house, fantastic. They did the parts in the sun, the parts in the shade, the parts on the north side, the parts on the south side. They paid attention to detail the whole way. They went the extra mile all day long. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, for your home or your business. They do both. They pay a lot of attention. They took a lot of time with our house, and it looks absolutely perfect. Each Certa Pro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They're the real deal. They're the best in the business. It's Certa Pro Painters.
Hey, value shoppers, Fleet Farm's having another 3-day bucket sale. Here's how it works. Pick up a 5-gallon Fleet Farm bucket for only $3.99. Then save 15% on everything you can fit inside. That's right. Any qualifying items that fit in the bucket are 15% off. So stop in and save during Fleet Farm's bucket sale, August 22nd through the 24th. And check out even more deals in our weekly ad at fleetfarm.com. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
If you've ever worried about your heart, if you've ever loved someone with heart disease, if you've ever wondered if you're the one at risk, let's remind ourselves that we are not powerless. Because at the Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network, we're pushing to outsmart heart and vascular disease by working with you personally to understand your history, assess your risks, and guide you to heart strength. By digging deep with tireless research and offering access to leading-edge clinical trials. And for the most serious conditions, including heart failure, heart valve disease, arrhythmias, and vascular diseases, we provide renowned expertise and the most advanced life-saving procedures you expect from academic medicine. So let's get out in front of heart disease. Let's outsmart it. Let's keep pushing so that every one of us can outrun it and embrace every beautiful day life in Wisconsin has to offer. To learn more about our nationally renowned heart and vascular care, visit froedtert.com/heart.
Now, more of Brewers Warm-Up on WTMJ.
John Axford. He will be throwing the first pitch today. Last time he threw a pitch on this mound, it didn't end so well. He had to get Tommy John surgery after that epic comeback story about, he was getting ready for the World Baseball Classic and it was feeling really good. He was supposed to be signed on with Sportsnet Canada to talk about the Blue Jays, and then they just sort of encouraged him, hey man, you're still throwing hard. He was up to 98 miles an hour at times in some of his training sessions. And so the Brewers decided to sign him one last time. He went from 10 a.m. on the plane to 10 p.m. on his way to the doctor's office. So he tells that story in just a moment. But to remind you of the 11-year career for John Axford, 6 of them here in Milwaukee, 106 career saves. In his whole career, he had 144 of them. Of course, people will look at the 2011 year. 46 saves as part of a streak of 49 in a row. In fact, he was top 10 Cy Young Award winner in 2011 in that very fun season. Overall, John Axford talked to us in the media earlier today about what he remembers most and what he was most fondly looking back on his time as a Brewer.
I think coming in, running from the bullpen in Game 5, just that noise, I'll never forget what that sounded like. But as I think I mentioned before too, even though I blew the save that day, that's not what I really remember about that moment. I remember the team joy. I remember the hit by Nigel Morgan. I remember Carlos Gomez stealing the base before that and him rounding third and sitting on the bench in the dugout and seeing an entire group, an entire team, coaches included, staff, everyone run up and run out of the dugout onto the field at the same time. That's what I remember most of that game. Sure, there's a few moments of oh my gosh, he bunted right here, and oh man, and this guy who's 0 for 17 just hit a double on the very first pitch of the inning. But it's more of the team moments of those things. I think most of the memories that I have of being out there involve my teammates and involve other people. Most of the memories of individual things happen to be, I think, memories of almost photographs. Not so much the moment itself, unless it involved something greater with the team. So I certainly remember coming here for the very first time in 2009. that moment sticks with me very easily. Just coming into the stadium and realizing this is where I'm going to be playing now after leaving Nashville. And then I actually kind of had that same feeling in 2021. So I hadn't been in the stadium and on the field in a uniform since 2013, and coming back and being out there and playing catch was bringing back some of that joy of being called up for the very first time since 2009. So those are two of the memories that I definitely hold on to quite a lot.
I mean, people forget John Axford, third all-time in saves in franchise history. Dan Plesac still number one at 133. Number two, of course, Josh Hader at 125. That trade kept Plesac's record intact. And then John Axford at 106. Those are the only three guys in triple digits. Raleigh came up just short, 97 in his career. K-Rod had 95 as a Milwaukee Brewer. Now, nonetheless, we mentioned it earlier about the comeback attempt and then ultimately blowing out his elbow here on the mound. Adam McCalvey of MLB.com had a great question of just like, is this a little bit of closure for you? Not only, of course, being added to the Wall of Honor, but being able to come back to Milwaukee and throw a first pitch the right way this time.
Yeah, I think, this pitch, at least I won't blow up my elbow, I think, when I'm out there. Coming back in this capacity is hard to describe, really. That moment on the mound was probably one of the most emotional I've ever had. I've had many frustrating moments out there on the mound. I've had a lot of really great emotional experiences of winning games, winning close games. That was the most devastating game I've ever pitched in. It's the first time I've ever called somebody out from the dugout to come see me. It's the first time I've ever had to walk off with an injury. Even in the past, I broke my leg on the mound in 2018. I finished the inning, and then I realized that my leg was broken. So to have someone or have an injury like that happen and be in such an emotional space already, not thinking I was going to play baseball, I took a job at Sportsnet. That's what I was supposed to be doing. I was supposed to be running Blue Jays Central a few times that year, which I was already doing. And then came back to throw and to pitch for Team Canada, to then be in a position where now I'm back in the big leagues and in Milwaukee was one of the most emotional highs I've ever had. It was kind of indescribable. And then landing at 10 a.m. and blowing my elbow out by 10 p.m. that same day just brought that emotion to some whole other crashing moment that I just wasn't ready to experience. I think I did everything in my power to not cry while walking off the field. Plenty of tears after that for the next few days. So to have those emotions kind of wrapped around my career here and have it end the way it did there, this is kind of an elating moment. It's really hard to describe other than the fact that I'm extremely happy and proud to be here and be joining all these other deserving players on the Wall of Honor too.
Yeah, everybody spoke at the ceremony emceed by Lane Grindle. Doug Melvin was here. Of course, principal owner Mark Atanasio was here. And Ricky Weeks and Jim Henderson were here as well, talking about what goes into all of it and what it was like to have Axeman as a teammate. And it's funny because you talk about perseverance. I mean, he was cut by the Yankees after just 1 year in the minor leagues. And Axford even told a story in his speech about how he had a brutal spring, but yet his signing scout and the front office still believed him, saying it's okay to have a bad spring. And so much credit, of course, was given to Trevor Hoffman. And Doug Melvin told a funny story that, at that time when they signed Trevor Hoffman to come, and he had been struggling there in 2010, and like, what are we going to do? And then ultimately it was on Doug Melvin to go to, they landed somewhere on the road in the middle of the night, and he has to go to Trevor Hoffman's hotel room, knock on the door, and sit down with him and say, I'm going to remove you from the closer's role. And he was so nervous about that, Doug was. But then Trevor just totally flipped it around and said, I will do whatever you need to help. And I want him to be most comfortable as possible. And we all know that as a guy that Trevor Hoffman is, but Axe gave him plenty of credit of coming into his own in 2010 and then ultimately going on the streak that he did in 2011. None of that could have happened without Trevor Hoffman. Another guy that it couldn't have happened without is, of course, Bob Uecker. And, John told a very interesting story about Ueck being very direct with him, and we'll explain why on our last break here as we get ready for Brewers and Giants on Brewers Warm-Up. One more with the Axeman after this on 620 WTMJ.
My gut tells me that this summer heat's gonna last, and that means your AC's gonna be put through the paces. Now, we all know that AC can take a licking and keep on ticking, especially if it's an Armstrong. But when yours needs to be put out to pasture, call Quality. With over 70 vehicles on the road, we'll be there in a hurry. And with over 60 years of experience, how can you go wrong?
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. Nobody likes it when their old water heater sings its last song. But if there's a positive side to it, say you upgrade now with the tankless water heater. That means instant hot water on demand. Those old water heaters aren't exactly efficient either, but you ride them as long as you can. And when they can't do the job anymore, call Quality. Whether it's drain cleaning, snaking, or taking care of a leaky pipe or faucet.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric.
When traveling at 20 miles per hour, the average stopping distance is about 40 feet.
That stopping power is calculated in both thinking and braking distance.
And assuming you've got the thinking and braking part down, the only thing left is good tires.
Just Google Richlands to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 convenient locations.
And rest assured, we'll put you in the right tire no matter what sort of vehicle you drive.
Plus, every tire purchase that we install automatically comes with our free flat tire protection plan.
5 conveniently located facilities, all AAA approved.
And all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to install your tires.
So Google Richlands.
Or go to richlands.com.
And remember, to be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you have good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
due for tire service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
Back to Brewers warm-up on WTMJ.
Last couple minutes of the program. I'm Dom Cotroneo. We'll be with you after the game with Jerry Augustine today as well. Brewers and Giants, Game 2 of the series. It could be yet another series win for the Brewers. Of course, that consecutive Series 1 streak was snapped against the Cubs, but today they can get back on track with another victory. They're up 7 games still on Chicago. They play West Coast baseball again today, taking on the Angels in Anaheim. Cubs won yesterday. But as for the race for the number 1 seed, the Philadelphia Phillies are underway against the Nats. The scoreless in the second inning there. The Phillies lost yesterday, and the big headline today in Major League Baseball is that Zach Wheeler is out for the year, and we will await to see if he chooses to recover from what is being diagnosed as thoracic outlet syndrome in his veins. And this is something that it's either a career ender or a long recovery time. And Zach Wheeler had been public about the fact that this was probably going to be his last contract after next year. He was not going to pitch again beyond the 2026 season, and who knows what this means for his future, but it makes a massive blow to the Phillies and their ace, and this was maybe his best season yet. And Wheeler is not available for the postseason. They will lean on Christopher Sanchez and Ranger Suarez and Jesus Luzardo and Aaron Nola, who's now finally back healthy as well. So that impacts the National League race for the number 1 seed. The Brewers are 6.5 clear of those Phillies. Now, of course, it is Bob Uecker weekend. We'll be having the celebration of life carried right here on WTMJ tomorrow. In case you can't make it to the ballpark, we will have it for you here over the air. Bob Costas emceeing the event. But one of the things about Bob, and I think he always reminded us of this, Bob was a player, man, and it's always important to remember Bob Uecker was a player that happened to be a broadcaster, and a dang good broadcaster, too. But he could talk to players in a different light. And when John Axford blew out his elbow in 2021 and was thinking about maybe coming back one last time, but for the World Baseball Classic to pitch for Team Canada in 2023, as John Axford explains, it was Bob Uecker that gave him the support to do so.
Definitely. I mean, there's lots of teammates, coaches, staff, all those great things. Obviously, like I had so many incredible mentors when I was down there as well, with Trevor Hoffman, with Troy Hawkins. Probably wouldn't be where I am right now without those guys as well. And then Uke, who's just sharing the game with you while he's down there in the clubhouse. And there's always the same Ute, but there's also a different version of him, that player version that a lot of people don't get to see. And we got that day in, day out when he was talking about the game, when he was talking about the intensity of the game or moments and describing it and discussing it with you. There was a player there. There was a different version of him. So that conversation that I had in 2021, 2 days after blowing out my elbow, sitting in the kitchen downstairs in the clubhouse, not knowing what to do, that conversation that I had with him, it was one of the straightest like conversations I had. It was a different version of him. That player came back, that passion came back. So that's definitely a moment I'm never going to forget too.
So congratulations to Axeman, and he did come back and pitch in that World Baseball Classic and get to go out on his own terms, which is something you don't get to see very often in any professional sport. So congratulations to the Axeman. He's getting ready to throw out the ceremonial first pitch here today. So when we get back into baseball mode here now, let's take a quick lap at the out-of-town scoreboard. I already mentioned the Phils and the Cubs for their games that we'll be keeping an eye on. Some games already in progress right now. Day baseball in Miami. Blue Jays leading the Marlins 4-3. Marlins mounting a little bit of a comeback here in the bottom of the seventh inning. 3 runs come in to score thanks to an Otto Lopez RBI. But it's 4-3 Blue Jays still in that one. Scoreless in Detroit. The Royals and the Tigers in the bottom of the second. By the way, the Royals aren't out of it because the Yankees keep losing. The Red Sox embarrass the Yankees in the Bronx, 12-1, 17 hits in this one. Another error by Yankee shortstop Anthony Volpe. They have been going through it. So as things look in the American League right now, Boston still leads the number 1 wild card spot, but they haven't lost sight of potentially Toronto. They are 5 back in the loss column, but in the wild card, they are leading the way by a game and a half in the American League. Then it is both New York and Seattle, both of which have fallen on harder times as of late. They both have a 69-60 record. Granted, Seattle is playing late night baseball tonight at home against the A's, so that record will change. Kansas City is 3 games back of the last wild card spot in the American League. They're obviously not going to catch the Tigers in the AL Central, but Kansas City's not out of it yet. They're 3 games above 500. The AL Central is starting to get itself off the mat and try to be relevant once again. But there is a greater than 0 chance that the Yankees still could miss the playoffs entirely. As for the National League wildcard race, the games that we'll be keeping an eye on include the Dodgers and the Padres. Once again, those teams are tied as of now. These 2 games, Saturday and Sunday, will be the last 2 times they meet head-to-head for the rest of the season. And remember, the Dodgers have already clinched the tiebreaker head-to-head. They entered today both identical 73 and 56 records. Though, if the season were to end today, LA would win the West, and they would be in the wild card round. San Diego would be the last wild card team, or the second wild card team in, I beg your pardon, because the Cubs would be the 1 wild card. They would be hosting a 3-game series against the 2 wild card, which would be the Padres. Then that 3rd wild card, which is currently the New York Mets, they would go to Los Angeles for a 3-game set with the Dodgers. But the only other team in contention in the National League, the Cincinnati Reds. They're a game and a half back of the Mets. We'll be keeping an eye on them all second half long. And remember, the last 3 games of the regular season for the Brewers are against those Reds. It could matter a lot for them, and they have one more head-to-head matchup. Mets and Braves coming up later tonight. That is going to do it for our program. Our producer, Evan Towson. I'm Dom Cotroneo. Keep on swinging.
You know, most mulch is reclaimed from landfills.